I will never forget the exact second my world tilted. We were standing in the living room of the house I had turned into a home. My husband was in the kitchen, the smell of dinner still in the air. My stepson, 8 years old, was showing me a drawing he had made at school. He held it up with both hands, eyes bright, and without thinking he said, "Look, Mom, I made this for you." The word landed like a soft bomb. His birth mother was sitting on the couch only a few feet away. She had come over that afternoon for what was supposed to be a short, polite visit. The air changed instantly. Her face went still. Then her eyes narrowed. "What did you just call her?" she asked, voice sharp. The boy froze. He looked from me to her, suddenly small. I opened my mouth to smooth it over, to say it was nothing, just a habit, but she was already rising from the couch. "You taught him that," she accused. "You made him forget who his real mother is." I stood there holding the drawing, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I had spent 3 careful years building a quiet, steady place for this child. I never forced the word. I never asked for it. And yet here it was, spoken in front of the woman who had given him life, and then spent most of it somewhere else. "My name is Elena. I am not the woman who carried him. I am the woman who stayed. When I married his father 2 years earlier, I knew the history. The birth mother had left when the boy was 3. There were reasons, excuses, long periods of silence. She would appear every few months with gifts and big promises, then disappear again. My husband had done his best alone. When we met, the child was quiet, watchful, the kind of little boy who checked the door every time someone left the room. I never tried to erase her. I kept her photos in his room. I spoke her name when he asked. I told myself that love could be shared, that there was room for both of us. That afternoon proved me wrong. She pointed a finger at my chest and said the words that still echo. "You are not his mother. You will never be, and I will make sure he remembers that." The boy started to cry. My husband rushed in from the kitchen. Voices rose. Accusations flew. I stood in the middle of it all, the drawing still in my hands, feeling the floor shift under my feet. What I didn't know that day was that this single soft word, Mom, would open a door I could never close again. Behind it waited secrets, old wounds, and a kind of betrayal that would force me to choose between silence and the truth, until everything changed. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more content, and comment with the name of someone special to you. The days that followed were heavy. She began showing up without warning. At school pickup, at soccer practice, outside the grocery store. Each time she smiled for the boy, then turned cold eyes on me. She told mutual friends I was rewriting history. She told my husband's family I was trying to replace her. She told the boy in soft private moments that I only pretended to love him so his father would stay with me. I watched the light dim in his eyes. He stopped calling me Mom. He started calling me Elena again, carefully, as if the other word had been dangerous. At night, I would hear him crying in his room and feel my own heart crack open. My husband tried to keep the peace. He asked me to be patient. He said she was his mother, that blood mattered, that the boy needed both of us. I understood the logic. I just couldn't live inside the pain of it. Then the letters started. Printed pages left on our doorstep. Accusations that I had turned the child against her. Claims that I had destroyed photo albums and erased her name from conversations. None of it was true, but the words still cut. One evening I found the boy packing a small bag. When I asked where he was going, he whispered, "She said if I stay here, I'll forget who I really am." That was the moment something inside me shifted. I stopped defending myself with soft explanations. I began looking for the full story. I asked quiet questions. I listened to old friends of my husband. I read through papers he had kept in a box he never opened, and slowly the picture came into focus. She had not simply needed space. She had walked away for years at a time. There were unpaid bills, missed birthdays, and one long stretch when no one knew where she was. The gifts and sudden visits were recent. They had started only after my husband and I built a stable home. I felt the betrayal settle deep in my chest, not only from her, but from the silence that had protected her for so long. I sat with the knowledge for days. I cried. I doubted myself. I wondered if fighting would only hurt the child more. Then one night I looked at him sleeping. One small hand curled around the edge of his blanket, and I made a decision. I would not become the villain she was painting. But I would no longer stay quiet while she tried to break the only home this boy had ever known. The pain turned into something harder, something clearer. I began gathering every fact, every date, every message she had sent and then ignored. I spoke to people who had watched the years of absence. I prepared myself for the conversation that could no longer be avoided. I was no longer the woman who only wanted peace. I was the woman who would protect what we had built, even if it meant exposing everything that had been hidden. The confrontation happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon. She arrived expecting another round of accusations. Instead, she found me calm, the papers laid out on the table, my husband seated beside me and the boy in the next room with a trusted friend. I spoke without raising my voice. I laid out the years of silence, the missed birthdays, the sudden returns that always coincided with our stability, the messages she had sent to friends claiming she was being erased, while she herself had stayed away. She tried to interrupt. She tried to cry. She tried to turn the story back onto me. But the truth was already in the room, solid and impossible to ignore. My husband looked at the papers, then at her, and something in his face finally settled. He told her the visits would continue only if they remained healthy for the child. No more secret talks that planted fear. No more public scenes. No more attempts to make the boy choose. She left that day with less power than she arrived with. The social circle she had tried to turn against me slowly learned the fuller story. Some doors closed for her. Others simply stayed quiet. The consequences were not dramatic or public. They were quieter and heavier. The loss of the image she had carefully built. The realization that the child no longer reached for her first when he was hurt or happy. In the weeks that followed, the boy began to relax again. One evening while we were reading, he looked up and said the word once more, softly, carefully, as if testing whether it was still allowed. "Mom?" I answered. And this time no one corrected him. We are not a perfect family. We still carry old scars. But the house feels lighter now. The boy no longer checks the door every time someone leaves. He knows who stays. I learned something I will never forget. A title is not given only by blood. It is given by the ordinary days, the mornings, the homework, the quiet presence when the world feels too big. Love that shows up again and again eventually earns its name. And sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply refusing to disappear,